our actions. You reap what you sow, and sometimes that might mean you forfeit a certain role or position.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are getting right into the heart of that internal battle we all fight. You know that feeling, right? That little voice that says you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You're an imposter.
It's probably the most universal struggle there is. And, so often the things we try, the affirmations, the self-help, they just don't quite land. So today we're looking at a totally different angle. We've been digging into material from Pastor Ed Newton's book, Why Not You?, looking at the text, some interviews, and his whole point is that self-criticism isn't just a bad habit, it's actually a huge spiritual problem.
That is it, exactly. Our mission here is to figure out how to make that perspective shift, and fast. It's about moving away from self-confidence, which, let's be honest, is always a bit shaky,
Right.
and moving towards what he calls God confidence. We're going to unpack this idea that you have a purpose, and your flaws, well, they're not really part of that equation.
And to give you some quick context, Ed Newton, he's the lead pastor at Community Bible Church in San Antonio. It's a huge, influential church. So you see this guy who just radiates strength. But the idea for this book, it came from a moment where he felt anything but strong.
Which is really the most fascinating part of this story. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a guy who was already a big deal, a national speaker. But around 2010, he gets this invitation to speak at a huge men's conference.
Yeah.
And he's just floored by fear.
Totally. Just deep, deep self-doubt. He was basically paralyzed, thinking, am I the right guy for this?
And in that moment, he runs into maybe the most unexpected mentor you could ever imagine.
Yeah, a man named Chuck Yates. He called himself a motorcycle missionary. His whole focus was working with like 1% outlaw biker gangs.
Wow.
And somehow this guy Yates, he just saw right through Newton's whole successful speaker persona. He saw the fear underneath.
And that's when he asks the question. He just looks at Newton and says,
He says, why not you? God's going to use somebody. Why not you?
such a simple but profound challenge to everything Newton was telling himself.
But here's the thing that you really need to get. That amazing phrase, it didn't just magically fix him. He says he adopted it, sure, but he didn't really truly believe it like in his bones until very recently it took a major crisis.
Right, so that conviction, it takes time. He talks about hitting an extreme low, what he calls a deep depression, just at the end of 2023. He was 48. And that crisis is what finally pushed him to get professional help, to go to therapy.
Precisely. It literally took him hitting rock bottom to finally understand what that phrase meant. So, we're talking over a decade for Why Not You, to go from just a nice slogan to something he actually lived by.
And that really sets the stage for what the book is all about, seeing yourself the way God sees you. But to do that, you first have to face your own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Which is your own voice.
Yes. The book's core argument is that we all have this secret language we only use on ourselves. And it is brutal. We're so quick to believe the best in other people, to cheer them on. But with ourselves, the internal monologue is just devastating.
Oh, it's so true. If we actually stopped and listened to the things we say to ourselves,
Yeah.
we'd be horrified. You would never say those words to your worst enemy.
No.
But we say it to ourselves constantly, I'm just so dumb, or I never get that right, or I'm just not smart enough for that job.
And Newton connects this all the way back. His point is, if God created you, who are you to say the creator got it wrong?
He also digs into the why. Why do we do this? And he says that self-deprecation, it's not actually humility. A lot of the time, it's just our insecurity talking. Or even worse, it's this weird kind of false humility that we use to get people to like us.
That's an uncomfortable truth, isn't it? He even shares a super relatable story about himself. He's a tall guy, so people often say, wow, you're much taller in person. And his go-to response, his default, is to say,
Why not a whole lot uglier too in person? Yeah. And it gets a laugh, right? But he points out that it reveals an insecurity he's still fighting. We can look in the mirror for 50 years, and it's still easier to list the flaws than it is to accept the good. It's just so deeply ingrained.
which leads us right to the next big idea. How do you deal with real failure? Real setbacks? How do you shift from that why me victim mentality
To a why not me declaration.
That's it. And the difference is everything. Why me is passive. It's all about the pain, the hardship.
But why not me is active. It's not asking for more trouble. It's saying, look, God, you can use someone to do something amazing. Pick me. Here I am.
And you have to go through the why me to get there. The sources talk a lot about this idea of repurposing pain. They call it the Joseph principle. It's this idea that whatever was meant to destroy you.
God can use it for good. The enemy's trap becomes your foundation. And that reframing makes the pain, well, makes it meaningful. The book emphasizes that your scars, they stop being wounds, they become part of your story. That scar tells a story, and that story, that can be the most powerful thing you have.
And this brings me to my favorite analogy from all the material, the weapon analogy.
Oh, yes.
When David takes down Goliath, he doesn't just use his sling. He actually kills Goliath with Goliath's own sword.
It's such a powerful image.
It is the very thing the enemy is using against you. Your biggest fear, your deepest shame, that thing can become the weapon you use to defeat him.
Your trial becomes your testimony. What about the people who feel like they're just disqualified? You know, their past mistakes feel too big.
And that's a really critical point the book makes. There are, of course, natural consequences for our actions. You reap what you sow. And sometimes that might mean you forfeit a certain role or position. But God never, ever shelves you. The message is always restoration.
And the ultimate example of that has to be Peter. He didn't just make a mistake. He publicly denied even knowing Jesus 3 times.
The worst possible failure.
But he wasn't cast aside. Jesus meets him and just says, "Feed my sheep."
Get back up. Your failure is in the end of your story.
That one thought alone should be so freeing for so many people listening. Your mistake is not the final word.
It's not futile, no.
Okay, so let's get to what I think is the most profound and, honestly, the most provocative question in all of this. It actually came from a friend of Newton's, a PGA golfer named Cameron Beckman, who was pretty new to his faith. He asked, "Is it a sin to not believe what God believes about you?"
That is a huge question. It just stops you in your tracks. And Newton really had to wrestle with it. But his final conclusion was, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. And his reasoning is just so powerful. I mean, if the creator of the universe has declared your worth and your purpose and you say, nope, not true, you're essentially calling God a liar. You're saying the creator is wrong.
So it's not just low self-esteem. It's an active rejection of your own design. It's a fundamental lack of faith.
To bring it down to earth, just think about a parent. How many times have you looked at your kid or someone you love and just thought, oh, I wish you could just see what I see. I wish I could give you my confidence in you.
All the time.
Right. And the sources make this connection. For believers, God has given us that confidence. It's the Holy Spirit.
So if God's presence is literally within you, and you refuse to believe the truth he says about you, you're basically ignoring that gift. The Bible calls it grieving the Spirit.
It shifts this whole conversation from, a self-help trick to a real crisis of identity.
So what's the takeaway for you listening right now? The final challenge from all this is a call to confess. And not just confessing a bad action, but confessing the sin of not believing in your own God-given design.
Yeah, it's a challenge to just believe that God wants to transform your mind, to help you see what's actually true. You have to start piece by piece, taking apart those negative tapes and just choosing to believe the truth about who you were made to be.
This has been such a powerful deep dive. We've gone from a moment of crisis to a lived belief. We've talked about the danger of that inner critic and seen how our biggest setbacks can actually become our greatest setups. We've really moved past fake it till you make it to this profound idea that your self-doubt is a rejection of your design.
And if we just zoom out for one final thought, the source material reminds us that God's thoughts towards you are, quote, more numerous than the grains of sand. Just think about that volume of positive intent. So the challenge for you is this. What is one specific, tangible thing you can do today to start aligning your inner voice with just one of those good thoughts? How do you finally stop rehearsing the old story and start wielding Goliath's sword?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, why not you?
Grab Why Not You by Ed Newton. Now on sale $13.95. Don't miss this chance and build good habit and achieve remarkable results. Buy now, today.
Like and subscribe for more Bookhaven podcasts.